the whole Discord up. Just close that. Okay. So, we discovered something really cool on the last stream where we did scanning. Ooh. A couple of things we gotta do. We gotta check what roll we're on. 42. I guess this would be 343, just in this order. Huh, I'm trying to recall now. I guess we can call this 343. Why not? Okay. So what's cool here, which we've recently discovered, is that we can now look at a live view from within Lightroom, which I found really quite incredible. Problem is, it doesn't seem to be getting there for one reason or another. Let us see. Go to 160. Well, probably the reason is because the lens cap is still on. There we go. Okay, very cool. So we got this copy stand. Got this copy stand. AF, we are on AF mode. Very cool. Oh, okay. That is super cool. All right. Okay, so we can try to reframe using all this information. Man, I love this. This is really cool. Okay. One thing I noticed is that if you don't close this, sick. So if you don't close the live view, it sort of shows actually is this the same cutoff? We'll go back live. I guess it is. Maybe it's a little more. Oh, Alex made it. Alex graciously redeeming here the open a package. All right. I kind of want more of the film borders to come in. delete this and do a few things here. This is some kind of Superior 400, so I'm gonna just choose something like this. I'll also reset this to start at 1. Aha, very cool. All right, so out of focus shot, that's on the camera, not on the scan. Very cool. There needs to be more film developing video games, like Film Developer Simulator. That'd be cool. That'd actually be pretty cool. I'd like that. Let's see. My question is, if we still shoot it like this, all right. Cool with that. A little dine out. Pokemon film versus digital. Film develop cart. Okay. 6 packages to open today. And I don't have the overhead camera available. Because the overhead camera is reserved for this USB tether for the scanning. We got quite a lot here. 6 whole packages. All right, Alex, package number 1. I'm wondering how this is really interesting. I've been changing the white balance settings on my camera. I feel like this one might, I'm not sure if you guys think this is too kind of like beigey, but I felt like it was the one that kind of was doing the best for my skin tone, at least right now. Anyways, the first package redeemed. We got some TX keyboard switch springs, 67 gram long springs, 67 gram medium length springs, and 67 gram short springs. That's the first package. Let's just leave that right there. Let me know if anyone takes issues with the coloring of the face cam. It's definitely, I think that it's supposed to be bluer. But then I didn't want my skin to look too blue. Alright. Alright, let's continue. Looks good to me. Alrighty. Alrighty. Cool. All right, so I can already tell some of this, the actual film is coming in itself a little blue. So why not take the time to kind of reset here, realign with what we want. A lot of this shot outdoors. We were dining out. What was this? Maybe about 2-ish weeks ago. To Cricket, thank you, thank you. I wonder how different this will be. Let's just try this out. Hey, that's a little bit better. Yeah, the Fuji actually comes in all right. Oh. Color picker will only work if graphics acceleration is turned off. Interesting. Interesting. Alright, I think we're fine just choosing Fuji for now. But I like this. I want to save this. So let's see. We got all these billions and billions of presets. Let's call this 35mm Fuji disposable. What did we shoot this at? 60 f10 100. So let's choose it from this list, and let's all sync these as of right now. Coming in a little dark. Curious to see how much or how this will continue, this film. Super excited about this Lightroom live view for film scans. Just trying to position things a little better here. My screen, slightly better workflow. Excellent picture. Ooh. We got a blank here. I'm realizing I don't even need to look at this anymore. I just look at this. Like I used to have to lean over to check. But like all the work is done. I can just look on screen now. This is super awesome. I love it. Sick. Yeah, I just leave this out. Man, that's so great. It's crazy. Let's go back and reset this crop. Oh, okay. So I've never seen this. Or maybe I have, but just such a long time ago, where it'll actually start you on 00 and then 0 and then before it gets to 1. And I noticed it's interesting because like you actually get to like the 25th exposure here. I guess 23rd. Kind of didn't really have, it didn't go to the end, but that's an interesting thing that they've done. So we left off here at 5. Is right. Nice. It's pretty cool. Like it's just like an expired disposable, and I gotta say it's like not so bad. Real good. Real good. second here. Did I take this picture twice? Guess I did. Once with flash. It has to be with flash. You don't really get very many options on this camera. Let's see. I want to look at that again. Looking at the density. This is the density of that first shot. It looked like this. It's the density of this shot. Slightly different, but I'm thinking that maybe just maybe we could like redo this. But I'm not sure. Wow, this is like such a dream to work with. The workflow is just greatly improved versus where I was 4 years ago, breaking my back trying to get the right scans. This is like fantastic. I don't know where one picture ends and the other starts, I'll be honest. Maybe here, where the number 13 starts. Yep. Yeah. Interesting, all right. I remember used flash on this one. You're just kind of guessing light by this point. It's cool. It's like a 400 ISO film in the disposable, and you kind of, it is just kind of guesswork sometimes. Very cool. Kind of like that picture. That's a nice picture. Not the previous one, not this black one. This is Zeta straining some pasta from a pan. A whole lot going on. Hey, I don't think I took this picture. I'm pretty sure this one was Ada. Highly doubtful that was me. Some groceries. Damn, I gotta say, disposables aren't as bad as I remember them to be. I would highly recommend, hey, anybody wants to get some disposables, send them over my way, we'll do some scans. This one came out real dark. I think it was just like later in the day. So that's a point where you'll kind of need flash. So at this point, this is where it becomes like kind of guesswork on the exposures. But all the previous ones were pretty good. Ooh, that one was my fault. Hey, it's me. Alright, I think the rest of this is just nonsense. Yeah, this isn't even anything. Nice! Damn! My goodness, that was crazy nice. Just so many surprises there. A really nice roll from this disposable. And I mean, what I think is a much improved process. All right, I need to figure out I guess I'll just lay it in front of me. Let's go with just right here. Grab the next rolls. We got 3 more rolls. So in what order do we go? I think this one was likely the next up. Likely. Try these out. So this one is Portra 800 on a, I guess we would close this, retether, start anew. And since this is Portra, let's find some other time we used Portra. Let's try this guy. Ah, we were in Vacaville, meeting with a potential dog trainer. We opted to not go for him. Alright, we can see, I mean, even this one right here is probably interesting. Second time in a row here where we, by the second picture, had a pretty good one to key off of. I believe this one should hopefully be the one. Let's do this. Negative Lab Pro. Convert negatives. Better, much better. Can we call it Kodak? Oh, this is working. I feel like this is working better than it has in the past. So I'm pretty happy about this. I was just in part-time fun stream telling them how like sometimes my Kodak and Fuji just don't come in and get read properly, but it's pretty good. Let's go with this. Let us create another presets. 5mm portrait 800. 160 f10 100. Alrighty. Oops, no, I don't want to quit. Try to sync. Synchronize this. Reset this one. Ooh, some of these end up being real warm. That's possibly too warm. Let's see what these other pictures are going to look like. Keep having to recall that I don't need to lean over like I used to. That's real dark. This is crazy. It's just mega dark. Hey, there he is. There's the little guy. These photos not so dark anymore. It's real nice. fantastic. Look at all this trash. A little road trip. Day trip on the road. Putting together all this trash. Man, this is incredible. Gotta tell you, this is incredible. These photos I honestly really don't remember taking. I usually remember, but oftentimes don't. Hey, it's one of those Instagram gas station photos on film. Oh, there's like a little Moai statue at City College. Damn, what a dream. It's a true dream. The workflow as quick as this. 35 minutes in and we're already through like halfway through this second roll. Okay, I remember this. I was on this bike ride and I just remember I kept trying to get the ferry building tower in the distance closer and closer as I was driving up Market, and then just trying to hope to see which one would end up being like the best photo. Let's see. You can see it like slowly get darker. Hey, we made it right there. This right here, the little crosswalk screen, turned out to be a little less artistic than I thought it would be. Step a little further up the Embarcadero. This little archway into the water. More of me. I think we just bought some fast food by this point. We've been buying a lot of fast food lately. It's a cool picture. Good. Oh, good. I like this picture. I want to redo the colors, but I feel like this picture is actually really quite nice. Oh, this is a little volunteering shift we had at the food bank. They, I guess they added volunteer space at one of their other warehouses. So this is like a little bit of a different part of that sort of, I don't know if you call it dog patch. It's not really dog patch, but Potrero Hill area that I hadn't seen before. good. It's like some of these, it's like the colors look like they're totally correct, and then some of them look a little, I'm not sure, a little bit beiger. That was a good picture. You guys ever seen fresh almonds before? I'd never seen it. I don't think I'd ever seen before then. Hit this grocery store. Hit up Berkeley for some Yogurt Park. Just trying to get some shots here. I'm doing so well. You see the people behind us, there's legs. This is a slightly better photo. Sailor Lane. Nighttime. Had a little trip to Berkeley. Look at that, like an interesting little thing that somebody put up. Ah, this is a lot darker than I thought it would be. Ooh. So we're getting close to the keyboard shots from last week. Oh! Ooh, that's an interesting, look at that. They collided, these two photos. I don't know the last time I've ever seen that. Guessing maybe some like the auto wind stuttered a little bit. Like there's like a huge gap then. Oh, actually no, that's the other roll. All right, so stupid me. Look at this. Went the whole stream shooting photos of this Viper, and the V and the C are transposed. I'm like, oh my goodness. A whole stream. So we're gonna have a bunch of photos that look like that. And I feel like it's already, like I've already used like an ISO, like an international layout where it's like quartz. So I'm just like, does that help or hurt the fact that I've mixed up the V and the C? I guess we'll find out. See how many other shots we have of this Viper. See how bad it gets. Moving on here. 24 roll. Nice little 24 roll. And we're just speeding right through this. My goodness. A little shocked. Color me surprised. Alright, so we pulled out the Nikon for this. This is also... Oh, I think I flipped this. I flipped this? I did. I got this upside down. Oh, this is some gold, some GC 400. I think maybe before we get to this one, I may consider coming back here and redoing some of the coloring here. See, I quite like this photo, but I don't think that this is the color that it was meant to be. So let's kind of see what NLP gives us. Try redoing this. Close that up. Close that up. See what we get. Oh, a little cleaner. I'm gonna say run Kodak. I think, yeah, the Kodak filter kind of gets it way more warm. But funny enough, it's like auto cool and auto neutral are already really close. I just keep it at neutral. I wonder if I sync this, how different will the rest of the roll look? See, in a case like this, when we're outdoors, I might prefer that it go back to this sort of very, very warm, but I'm not sure. Maybe I'll try to keep it at that as that warm one for a good majority of these outdoor ones. This one right here, we have a couple of very underexposed stuff. I think it's just like whatever the center frame or however the T3 was metering must have hit these big patches of the white car next to us. So I'm not sure there's going to be much saving for those. I take this back to the warm. A lot of the dog ones in the car, the back seats. This one too, even. Maybe the ones daytime in the car might benefit from that as well. I do like this one back to the cooler, more neutral one. Seems more correct. So we had here a couple of these shots here where we're outside and kind of debating when you have sundown, what'll work better. I'm guessing it might be this warmer one. Seems a little more fun here. Quite like that. These become a little harder to tell what I want to have happening. Not that I'm not sure that this will ever necessarily get used, but these are all good though. These neutral ones inside my place. Ooh. I guess like this, yeah. We'll keep that warmer one outdoors. This one I just don't know. I don't know where to go with this one. It's like I kind of like almost like an in-between here. Keep this here for now. interesting couple of shots when we try doing this. Let's see if we can. These indoor shots are going to be a lot more interesting to try to assess. So we'll try to redo the colors here just to see what we get. Let's run NLP. Even this is like the third different run at this. And neither of those really do it. So we're heading back to, okay, should we go neutral? Or should we go cool? Part of me thinks cool. Cool might be the way to go. This takes a little bit of that green out. Not too much green for my taste. Yeah, that's significantly better. All right, let's continue along. New tether, more serious photos with the keyboards. My only hope here is that I have kind of enough to deal with for the Viper to not show the blunder I had while I was shooting. Let's find out though. I believe we did the oh, what did we do? Did we do I get this feeling that we ran with the F6 first, but I guess my question to myself is, why would I just guess when I can just go back to my own VODs and find out what the heck I did first? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I ran the F6 first, so that's perfect. All right. So call that 345. So this is, we got GC 400 here, which, man, it's like, when was the last time I ever shot GC 400? It's crazy. I guess I could just leave. Just leave this. It says Kodak something. I'll just leave this as is and we'll just go at it. Live view. Very cool. Okay. If I do a rotation here, will it reflect here? That's my question. It does not, unfortunately. Also, yeah, the coloring here is immediately very bizarre. So let's make adjustments. Run NLP after we white balance. This I remember we were trying to get some macro shots. Now this here, I gotta say, is interesting. I want to try this, I really do. But apparently it requires me to turn off GPU acceleration, which is a very weird prerequisite. Performance? So I guess I turn this off. try to convert this. So my question is, well, let's see what the heck happens when we use this. It says, okay. On Windows, the color picker will only work if GPU acceleration is turned off. Do this in Preferences Performance. Click and hold as you drag from the color well over to the part of the image you want to sample. Note that your cursor will not appear to change during this. The picker will sample every 2 seconds while you continue to hold your mouse button down. Release your mouse when you're done. Little typo there. You should see your image update and the white balance, temp, and tint values change in Negative Lab Pro. If you're not happy with the result, you can always reset the white balance by hitting the WB text in Negative Lab Pro, then try again on a different area, or you can adjust the outputted temp and tint values. Note you will generally get the most accurate results if all other settings are reset to 0 and the tone profile is set to linear. Okay, let's do that. So, oh, Andy redeemed open a package. We got 5 more packages, now 4. 2, 3, 4. One more. There we go. All of them have been redeemed. I was hoping that they would not get redeemed until the end of stream. But since Andy's here and did it, I guess we gotta do it. I don't have the top-down camera available because it's busy being used as a USB tether. I suppose. Oh my goodness. That's all this. Let's just go with it. Oops, Command Z. It's all good. It's all good. Command Z. No, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. Okay, so this right here, I'm curious about. I got this off of an RMM user. Trying to figure out how the hell. Oh my god, every time I feel like I've been fucking up some of these boxes real bad as of late. They're these little like clamshell locking tab boxes, and it's like, it's weird because this right here, oh shit, I was opening this, I think, the wrong way. That's why. Interesting. Alright. Man, I really wish I had the top down for this. We could I don't really want to try that. Okay. I'll just hold it up. I'll hold it up to the camera. We got some Zycos, some what appear to be lubed Zycos switches. Zyco? I gotta say, they're a little weird because I think it's the situation where the long pole stem hits the bottom housing, I think, by virtue of what the switch housing is in comparison to these halo clear stems. It does actually feel a little bit kind of nice. I'm curious though, because I have the cream tangerine switches in this, and I don't like the short throw, and I'm wondering if I will like or not like this. Remains to be seen. But that's chill. We'll find out. What I do see is that the soldering job is not very clean. Yeah, this we need a little run through here. I don't think that this guy had a gun, and I'm not knocking him for not having a gun. But what I am knocking is just the desolder job on some of these is like, man, it looks like... I'm less worried about the fact that these are so messy. I'm worried about whatever he desoldered these from. Because it looks like this may have like lifted pads off of whatever they were desoldered from. I'd love to macro this, and maybe we will after I finish doing these scans. We'll do a sort of reassessment, because I think, honestly, I think that because the workflow of these scans is so nice, this stream might end up being really fast in terms of the scanning part. So we can go back over these packages and just kind of do a lot of stalling type work for the rest of the stream here. And I'll be able to sort of show what I think is a little bit of the weirdness of these switches. But so long as they're all here, and so long as that I believe they'll all be usable, I think we're good. I do think that these appear to be unfilmed, which honestly, is it a big deal that things are unfilmed? I don't know. I've used a lot of keyboards in my past that were unstickered, unfilmed, all that. But only recently I've been trying to put films in everything, only because, not necessarily just because people say to do it, kind of, but more so it's just like, it's an option, and it gives you a thing to do. All right. So that's package number 2, the first package that Andy redeemed, but the second package overall. Okay. Package number 3. I like the short bottom out of these types of Franken switches. Filming pan and zeal housings aren't needed, and they don't actually fit well. Oh, okay. Good to know. As for your comment, I do not like the short throw. I actually really quite hate it. So what I do is every time I do a build, I use the keyboard until the next build I do. And I gotta say, man, I can't wait till I do the next build. Like, I don't like the short throw. So I'm not a big fan of short throw. All right. Package number 3. We got about 100 red inks and about 70 black inks, as well as another one of these AI03 switch openers. Let's take a look. I'm excited to see the color on this. Ooh, ooh, that's a nice color. We got rose gold. I don't know if y'all can see that. Rose gold. Very cool. I actually really quite like rose gold as a color. I'm just waiting for like the right rose gold keyboard to get. Hey, Moon Operator. Let's go, man. Long time no see. Glad you could come along. My homie Andy just redeemed 5 straight open a packages. So that's all the rest of my packages that I have for the rest of the night. So we're getting through them, and we'll take a closer look. We'll take a closer look at them after I finish the scan stream. Because the overhead camera I use is USB tethered for the purpose of scans, and I don't want to really undo all that at the current time. Just for opening packages, but I will finish the scans and then go back and revisit all of these things. All right. 3 more packages. Got a couple packages from Amazon at this point. We have a 250 piece set of M3 flathead hex screws, cap screws. Reason I got this, I don't know how common this is. I didn't think it was common, but the Viper I got, which I'm using right now, somehow had a stripped hex screw. I don't know if like stripping hex screws is common. I didn't think it was, but it came in stripped. I bought it secondhand. So I went and bought some replacement Phillips at the nearby, you know, the corner hardware store. But I just wanted to go back and get hex instead, so I ended up getting a 250 pack of different lengths. All right, we'll go in a nice little order here. All right, so this next one's a bigger package. About this big, yay big. Bought 12 of these, and I realized I should have bought 13 just for the evenness in my cupboard. We got a paper saying thank you for your purchase. We appreciate your business. Alright, you guys don't see this, which is good. This is a bunch of address information. Alright. This box is comprised of 2 smaller boxes. Then I just lose my box cutter every time. A common thing I do. You guys see where I put my box cutter? Because I never know where I put it. AKA Unforgettable, welcome back. There it is. Left it on the floor. Right at my feet. We got storage cases. I use these for keycaps. Maybe after the stream or after the scans, I might just throw these all in just cuz. So 12 of these. I don't really have to open them all right now. We'll do that a little bit later in terms of opening all. Assuredly, there are 12. I don't think you guys need to see all 12 of them. But we have one final package. And this one's a big one. This is from Amazon. It is. It's not something that's like hard to get, but it is something I'm excited about. Ooh.
Jesus Christ, we love you, God!
You need a string on it so you don't lose it. Alright. Guys, we got something that I think a lot of people were waiting for me to get. I got a label printer. Got a shipping label printer, so I'm gonna be able to send things out to people now. I love this. I love this example. I don't know if you guys can see it, how well you'll guys be able to see it, but it says like the label that they printed for putting on this box says amazing customer at XYZ company, San Jose, California. I reuse the tubs I get pre-sliced deli meat for my switches. Right on, right on. All right, this we got the start of something good here with this. I don't think you guys are necessarily realizing how big a deal this is that I got one of these guys. I have like so much aversion to like dealing with like shipping nonsense, like going somewhere to ship stuff. I've liked it in the past when I can just drop something off. But I basically got rid of any printer that I used to have. I think must have been 2.5 years ago. So I've been without a printer for about 2.5 years. So for the fact that I can start sending people stuff, the fact that I can start selling things, I feel like Kimchi Jody Boy, I made him jump through crazy hoops to buy something off me, which I feel a little guilty about. And he'd probably be mad that like it's like, oh, now you get a little label printer. But we're gonna do it. All right. Thus ends the stretch of 6 packages redeemed for me to open, and we'll revisit some of them. Honestly, I think there's probably about 2 total things that I do want to show under the lens here, so but we'll get there. All right, back to scans. So they said so long as I hold I don't necessarily know how this is going to work, to be perfectly honest. Ah. Oh, that was some dumb shit. Okay. Let's retry this. I've never used this color picker before for selecting white balance in Negative Lab Pro. Jesus. Good lord. How do you operate this? Like, am I supposed to select on the image? Let's reread this. Click and hold as you drag from the color well over to the part of the image that you want to sample. Okay. Oh, I see. Got it. Bingo. All right. Understood. Oh, okay. That is actually pretty cool. Huh. Is this what I want? Huh. That is interesting. Apparently, like, I have to start here and then, like, end here. Aha. I like that. Whoa, I did not like that. Why did that end that way? Are we good? All right. I like this. Okay. So if I change this now. Turns out it really wants me to use linear or stay on linear. Okay, so how do these tones really work? Looks like log, cinematic log. Yeah, probably it just wants me to stay on linear, which is interesting. Alrighty. Let's go with this. I want to see how this will perform when I go through all of the other scans. We have a number of keyboard photos that are just on this, you know, white counter. So we'll see how this goes. 0345, what is this? 35 millimeter GC 400, 160, F10, 100. So we're going to create this. We're going to reset to this. And we're good to go. All right. I think my live view is kind of paused for too long. I think it's like the live view just kind of died. Let's get out of that. Let's try to retether. Did it enter a sleep mode? Try this again. I feel like I spent too much time opening packages. Might not have liked that. Try to reboot Lightroom maybe. So people know. Big fan of desktop icons. I'm just trying to collect them. I'm trying to have so many applications and games necessary for me to be able to fill my desktop full of desktop icons. One of the great pastimes. All right, let's try this again. There we go. Lightroom wasn't too happy about me stalling for so long. Alright, I will have to end up flipping a lot of these. So it's a giant piece of dust right there. I'm not sure how easy it is for me to sort of just like wipe it off with this. Hopefully not on the other side. Let's try to redo it. I just wiped it off with my glove. Okay. Alright. Gotta remember, I don't even need to lean over to look at it because I can just see it on the live preview. The only wish is that the presets would auto rotate it. Will this work? Let's try that out. Oh, it didn't. Interesting. So it doesn't allow me really to deal with rotation, which is kind of annoying. What do these even mean? Or upright transforms. This is just a kind of correction of some sort. Transform adjustments. So how do you preset with rotation? Lightroom. Image rotate on import in Lightroom Classic. Okay, let's see. You know what I'm curious about is what is a transformation really? It doesn't let you go any further than that. Bummer. Alright. Still just have to continue here. Okay. I think this was that point where I shot the same shot 7 times by accident. Like, whoops. Ah, this is when I was like, oh shit, no artisan. And then I put the craziest artisan I got. And then at this point, I think I started bracketing. Ah, there it is. The guy that everyone likes. This one, I think a couple of these will need some kinds of exposure adjustments. With that, I mean, they'll also probably need a lot of touching up just to get rid of both the scan dust and then the actual dust on the keycaps from when I shot it. Aha. So here, by this stage, I'd switched over to the Viper. Now the problem, for anyone who hasn't heard me talk about it already, the Viper is in a, like a, I guess, German quartz layout, so the Z and Y are flipped, and I totally understand that. Like, I mean, that's fine. I anticipate that. The problem was we mounted the V and the C badly. These are in the wrong places. I'm just like, ah, shit. Like, I think that this probably would have been a fantastic shot. But I blew it. I blew it. Now, on the other hand, for any shot that's like not, you know, pointed to the bottom row, we're good. It's like a guy like this is all good and set to go. You don't have to see the blunder I made. Same here with this one. Whoops, did I just do that same one twice? My bad. Delete from disk. Let's reset to 18. Got that red bro cap on it. And then we have the fuck up where you see the whole board. You see that goofy ass mistake I made. Look at that. Look at that. So silly. So silly. To be fair, I feel like these, like knowing that this is a Viper and one of the big propositions is your ability to have like the underglow. It's like maybe these should be reshot anyways. So then I don't feel so bad. Like I probably should have just had this plugged into something so I could see all the lighting options. Almost done with the roll. So some of these colors can be redone. Like for the most part, I think this looks fantastic. Now with that said, we can make some adjustments, especially to the highly overexposed ones. Now, a guy like this, we got some problems here. Just like a ton of dust. So this rig has a little brush on the insert. Right now, like I'm literally just trying to go back and forth to get some of this dust off. Silly, I know. Let's just try to take this one again. Big ol' one right there. Better. And that just about does it for this roll. It's real good. Alright. We got one last roll, but it is on 120. So I shut this guy off. Then we go get the other attachments. We work on putting them together before we go grab that roll. Just got this guy here. This guy here. What I'll do is remove this guy. Raise this up quite a bit. I guess I can kind of show stuff like this. I'll really want to see. Knowing that this is through USB tether, it's like the frame rate is just really, really offensive, because I think the whole intent is to just use this as previews or live view previews for the stills. So we take this off and we throw this guy on. You know what I'm curious about is, what if instead I raise this up? In case you guys want to continue seeing all this weird stuff I'm doing. So, I'm normally supposed to slip this guy underneath. And then screw this stuff in like so. Through these little like these knurled thumb screws. And I typically do it. But I did realize a little while back that there's an issue with the film coming through here, because it's too low. Like the film inserts compared to where the actual film holder goes is quite low. So I'm gonna try this. I did try this in the past and like the results, but I've never tried this with the knurled screws. So we're gonna test it out. It shifts a little, and I think that that's not really supposed to be the case, but it's just the nature of it. Yeah, it's just flat out, it's just not supposed to be done this way. So it's like this whole thing can actually just be removed, which is, man, it sucks. Let's see. Could we instead put this in from the bottom? The question is, will that in turn do what we want? If I do this and then flip it over, maybe this will actually get us closer to where we want to be. Quite frankly, it actually looks like it. And this is so silly, but let's see where this takes us. Will this take us to the promised land? No shake. Set this down. We get the holder. I leave this this microfiber because there is some glass in there that I just kind of want to keep covered. On top of that, we turn this over because this is how we're going to get the most picture. So let me go grab that roll of film and we'll find out more about what happens here. I feel like we have an opportunity. We definitely have an opportunity here to have this turn out really, really well, especially now. Wasn't typically this easy, especially with the lack of a live view prior to last month. Last time we did this 2 weeks ago. I think this Nikon live preview or the live view had just been put on like a couple days before my stream. So let's try this out. This is Portra 400. We got a little bit of funkiness here. Typically, I like to actually rotate the entire copy stand. But I'm avoiding that for now. And I'm curious here. You have a better likelihood of inserting this properly, but trying to get it through, up and through, over the glass is not quite as easy as I would have hoped. Let's take a look here. What is happening? Struggling for whatever reason. If I remove the brush, which so often is the cause of major issues, still get a little hung on this glass. I see. So we need to come up a little bit at an upward angle. Do we still have that issue? Whoops. Do we still have that issue? Is my question. We put in the brush. My guess is probably... Ah, there we go. Very nice. Okay. So, I need to then insert this through. Alrighty. So I'm gonna open up a new tether just to get ourselves all acquainted here. 16 exposures on this roll. I'm gonna open up this live view, and so now we'll keep this, or we'll take this back down to where we think it might need to be. Funny thing is, I think that for where this is, some positioning adjustments for us to make. The autofocus is failing me. Struggling. Huh, why is that? This thing's blowing it. Seems we've lost contact here with the tether and its ability, or inability for that matter, to focus. So, try again here. Still struggling. What if we try just giving ourselves a little restart here? Still refusing, unfortunately. It made one single attempt. Before it gave up. Hey, there we go. That's all I was asking for. Not a big deal. Okay, now the thing is, we're gonna have to keep asking for this. All right, so I want to get this like positioned more properly. That looks real good, I must say. All right, and I'm happy with that. All right, so this, I believe, what is it? Portrait 400 on 120. We have some other presets for it. So let's just get at it. And now you see, I'm gonna love this. Hey, Lala, welcome. Welcome, welcome. So I'm gonna love this now because I can now see exactly where this goes on this live preview of this film scan. It's fantastic. I don't have to get up, I don't have to look, guess where the positioning is, because they recently added this live view. It's CG when we're talking. Yup. Lala, welcome. Always a great pleasure to have you. Lala, hey, so you haven't been, or I don't know if you've been lurking, but check this out. All right. Let me know if you could see anything wrong with this keyboard. I'll give a big hint. It's not the fact that it's a European ISO quartz layout where the Z and the Y are flipped. It's not that. That's not the problem. There's a separate problem here, and I'm wondering if you'll be able to spot it. Separate problem with this keyboard. I'll take more pictures. I'm trying to get more shots so you could maybe hopefully see it more clearly. But my big hint is that there's a problem here and it's not the ISO layout. In fact, I won't even rotate. I'm trying to get the... I think I ended up getting some interesting, weird, like, perspectives of this particular keyboard. And I'm waiting for me to get to one where you could possibly more clearly see something here that's wrong with the keyboard. HHKB is not my expertise, so it doesn't have to be. The problem is also, another hint, not an HHKB issue either. This one you'll be able to see it. Oh yeah, you'll be able to see here. Okay. We'll stay on this photo. We'll stay on this photo and see if you could find the problem. It's missing its acrylic plates. It's not. But let me know. Let me know if you want another hint. I'm happy to give it. Was it the keycap sticking out on the left side? The keycap sticking out on the left side. Oh, no. No, it's not that. Okay, let's take another one. I guess that does look a little funny, but that was not the problem I was thinking of. Oh, this one you'll definitely be able to see it. Yeah, this is your best chance to find a problem with all of these photos that I've taken of my Viper. Because I think after this photo, you no longer see this side of the keyboard. So this right here is your best chance. This photo here. I don't know if there's anyone who's been here lurking, because I've already revealed this earlier on stream, but I recognize La Moon, you're both here now, and you're getting to see these pictures or the Viper for the first time here. Let me pull up Viper. Let me also explain, it's not a Viper specific issue. It's not an HHKB specific issue. Maybe that's too much of a hint. I don't know. Let me see if I'm gonna reset this photo. I'm gonna redo the coloring here. Because I feel like it looks a little dark, and so maybe if I brighten it up, maybe it'll be more helpful. So let's go and do this. Get some recolor here. Oh, that looks real good. I feel so dumbfounded right now. It feels like we're missing something so obvious. Let me know. Let me know if you guys want hints. I'm happy to give hints. One last hint. Okay, do you want a big last hint? Small? Uh, hmm. Oh man. Start small. The thing is, I can only think of a big hint as the smallest one. so I might just have to give it. Keycaps. Sorry, I gave it. Sorry. Keycaps. Huh? What? What's wrong with them? You guys want more hints? It's 1 unit shorter. No. It's not 1 unit shorter. Ooh, neutral or cool? Neutral. Cool. I think I like cool. All right, you guys need another hint? Okay, how about this? I give up LMAO. My sleepless brain is dead. There's a different layout happening, so it's not an issue with the general fact that it's ISO keycaps. That's not the problem. I'll start with another. I'll go slowly because I think there's 2 more hints that I can give. The fact that there's something wrong with this, and if someone figured it out, makes me feel like I would be embarrassed to post this on like Instagram or to share this on some other community, like a Discord community or Reddit or whatever. I would be embarrassed to share this because of something here that's wrong in the picture. Let me slowly take that further. It's something that I've done wrong here. Oh, you see it? Different keycap profile? Oh, no, that's not it. The profile's fine. I mean, the bottom is R5, but the spacebar is R4, but I think that's like technically like people are okay with that. All right. Okay. Let me know if you want like the one last big hint, or if you just want the answer. Can't be the arrow keys. No, it's nothing to do with the arrow keys. It's too obvious. Seen that done before? Yeah, no. The arrow keys. There's no windows. There's no Windows keys on. These are OG die subs. Granted, they are OG die subs, like ISO die subs, which is kind of why I had quartz in the first place. So it's not as impressive as having ANSI die subs. But for the fact that you need the 1 unit Windows keys, I put some arrows there. let's see how much closer I can get to the photo. Oh, LMAO. Oh, you dummy VC. Yeah, yeah. We mounted the keycaps in the wrong spots. Yep. And it's just like, shit. Like, some of these pictures are really good. Like, I feel like this is a pretty nice I don't know what you guys think, but I find this to be like a pretty nice picture. But I just feel like it's unusable because the keycaps in the wrong spots. The Z and Y swap distract me. Yeah. The Z and the Y swap, I would figure, would distract a lot of people from this. And that's the thing. Maybe it would distract people so much that I could go and post this and people won't even notice. I don't know. What do you guys think? Is this cause for trashing these photos? I mean, I guess for that matter, there's also this reality that the space bar is dirty. So it's like, I mean, maybe I just should clean the keycaps and then redo this whole thing all over again. Sub legends in the number trip me up too. Yeah. So it, again, I don't know. I feel like maybe I was trying to lead you guys in the wrong direction, but the whole idea is that, like, yeah, I fucked up by transposing the caps. Doubt anyone would look that fine into the details. Moon, I appreciate your input and your feedback. Lala, what do you think? Do you agree with Moon? Chris made it seem like it was a hard to find. Well, is it? Is it a hard to find? Alright, this is 0346, 120, Portrait 400, 160 of 10, 100. Maybe with that keycap set, but not really. So you think it's an easy find? You guys think it's easy for people to notice, oh shit, he flipped the C and the V keys? Or do I post it pretending that it was intentional and it's like a little Easter egg? Lots of distractions and decoys. Yeah. Alrighty. Easter egg would be on brand for tonight. Free engagement. Should I post it as like, what's wrong with this keyboard? Put enter on backwards, get even more engagement on your post. You know, I was watching that, was it, I don't know if it was last night, but I think it also came up today in Tim's stream. I was looking at for a little bit where he was showing the keyboard build and how all the keys were in the wrong spots, which is like probably like super frustrating for a lot of people. Now, what I think is that you can put all the keys in the wrong spot provided that they're on the same profile. Man, you have a Viper, how can you type at 11 degrees? Hey, you know what my biggest issue with this damn Viper is not the angle. My biggest issue with this Viper is the switches that I put into it. I put the I will not say the forbidden name. I put the cream stem and tangerine housing switches, and I do not like them. Like I just don't. Like I'm using them. I'm gonna use them until the next build that I do. What I try to do is, like, every time I build a keyboard, I'll use that until the next build I do. I do not like these. I don't like the long pull short travel. It's I will contend, like it took me all of one day to realize, like, I think that the reason people like them is because of the sound. But like I don't think that like, I think it does sound kind of nice, but I don't think that the acoustics is worth like the feel, at least for me. For me, like, it's not a good trade-off. I actually really quite hate it. But it's crazy because everyone, like, I feel like a lot of people out there really like it. I do not. And so, like, what I was hearing was, like, you know, people put the cream stems in alpacas, and I was thinking of doing that mod, but I'm just like, is it not just the same fucking thing where it's like a long pull short travel switch, like Franken switch? And if that's the case, I am not gonna do that. When I come back up in a few weeks, I'll bring you my Dollinger. All right. Ah, shit. Did this freeze again? I feel like this froze again. Ah, it froze again. This thing had been freezing. I think the solution was to restart Lightroom. So that live view beta, as helpful as it is, it's in beta, so it's like not quite as fleshed out as I think, but you legit take Lightroom literally. I mean, it's a beta. I don't know what to say. I got some cream stems to make a Franken switch, but I don't know if I want to commit to it on a board yet. What I will say, Moon, is that, like, your best bet is to commit to a board to really find out how something feels. Because, like, I've done this for years where it's like you have a switch, or you Frankenstein a switch, and then, like, you try to figure out how it feels, but you'll never know how it feels until it's on a board, in my opinion. So I would say, like, if you've got the time and the energy and the finances to do it, even if you're uncertain as to whether or not you like it. Like, I'm glad I did this because I found out I don't like it. I hate it, but I'm glad I did it because now I'm not left to wonder. For so long, it's that, like, I've been hearing that these types of mods, like these long pull Franken switch mods, were things that are super great. I personally can't find that, like, further from the truth. Like, it's incredible how much I don't like it. We're gonna show. I actually, as I was mentioning earlier, one of the packages that was redeemed, I have channel point redemptions for packages to open, packages I save for stream days. One of the packages I opened, I bought some Zyko switches off of RMM, and I already know that, like, they're long pulls. Like, I already had known that they were long pulls because it's just, like, I guess the kale stems are like that. I took them out and I can, like, kind of feel and hear that they're long pulls. I'm gonna put them on a board and I'm gonna see if I like them. We'll just kind of see. SP stars. I would like to get some SP stars. Here's my question. I have never tried ordering off of AliExpress. Is there any problem? Like, what are the caveats to ordering off of AliExpress, and why does it feel like more people don't do it? That's what kind of has me curious. Oh, I always order off AliExpress? Okay. Like, I just feel like, why wouldn't anyone get everything? Oh, not for keyboard stuff, though? It takes forever. Oh. That's why people don't. Okay. Alright, that's good to know. Alright, I might get some might get some SP stars off of AliExpress. I mean, like, I have more stuff than I have time. So, like, it's just like, I can do this all day. Like, funny thing here is, Ada has taken it upon herself to just, like, she wants to, like, this is gonna sound ridiculous. She wants to lube my switches. So it's just like, she's been asking lately, oh, you got any switches for me to do? And so, like, I ended up, like, just, like, I'm just, like, giving her all the switches that I just keep buying for her to, like, lube. Because she wants to. And it's like, for me, like, for a big chunk of time, I'm just like, oh, man, like, I'm not a big fan of lubing, to be perfectly honest. And I just, yeah, I mean, well, I'm surprised, too. I mean, I guess it's kind of like a thing to do. Like, she watches, like, a lot of Netflix, so it's just like, I think maybe she wants to, I think maybe what it might be is, like, she wants to, like, kind of feel somewhat productive while watching some of her, you know, some of her favorite shows, and I get that. All right. Let's see. Just sus because people are too spoiled about Amazon's return policy. Yeah, true. Everything on Amazon is literally AliExpress marked up. AliExpress is Taobao marked up. Oh. So what's the deal about Taobao? Like, is the drawback of Taobao that you, like, actually need a proxy? Like, could you get SP stars off of Taobao? Figure my next build, I might pay someone to lube them. Pay me. 10 hours of agony isn't worth it. You don't need a proxy for Taobao if you use Taobao Direct. All right, I gotta do some research. Proxies are for people that don't know how the system works. All right, luckily, I keep logs of all my chats so that I can go back and then recall that you've said this. I gotta figure it out. Oh, what happened here? Completely, I think it's motion blur in my hands. Let's see. 10 hours, 10 switches an hour. Oh shit, I'm talking about Ask Me Tired. Wait. Oh, Tawa doesn't have English. Okay, I see. Yeah, I once had a coworker who, like, she's, like, from China, and was very, very in tune with Chinese culture, and she would, like, always just talk about, like, she kind of got, like, a little bit into keyboards, and she was just super funny. She would always talk about how she really wanted to get, like, fake shit off of Taobao. It was hilarious. She really wanted, like, fake NMDs. Damn, I gotta say, this live view thing is so awesome. Alright, I gotta read that. AliExpress has that too. It's all hidden behind cryptic listings. Alright, I feel like I'm gonna just click this now so I can read this later. Okay, so I think I may have had some exposure changes. Which is kind of why some of this shit looks so damn crazy. So I'll do some color adjustments after all this. yeah, these got all fucking wild. All right. I think, you know what I did is, I think, I was exposing for the silver on the Viper, and it just, you end up having different settings here. Yeah, I can just see right away the 125 shutter speed, because like you don't need quite as much light as the 1/8 of a second shutter speed. What board is this? This is the gaff. So I'm gonna redo this, and this one has a lot of motion blur, but we'll at least be able to expose this better when we get the preset redone for the subsequent scans. We're about halfway through, and I've been taking my sweet time here. I appreciate you guys being here. I was going through really quickly earlier. I'm marveling at how much improved this workflow really is. Let's try linear. I don't know. I like this. Everything's crazy bright. Standard might be the way to go. Anthixus, welcome back to the stream. 1/8. Yeah, I think. I mean, it was just how literally my 645 was metering. But I probably didn't have to go this nuts. All right, I'm gonna keep it here. Thing is, do these look any better? I wouldn't say necessarily so. So I will reset and let's try again. No reason to not just try again. These shots, like, I feel like these shots have potential. We gotta realize that potential. Like, it takes work. When you brought up about the disposable film camera project, I looked them up. Why are they so expensive now? What the fuck happened? The film landscape's definitely changing. It's interesting because there's so many angles to look at it. There's a movement here that like from a very, very practical standpoint, like the fall of digital has just kind of happened, you know, over the last like 20 years. And it makes sense, right? Like, it's just significantly less convenient. But there have been a bunch of like hipsters, I guess, like myself, as well as like people who are using film for practical purposes, like for like large format printing, that have caused like film to still need to be around. And I say need for the first part, like they need to be around, like film needs to be around for hipsters. The problem is that like the general need is just kind of like fallen like overall over time, but with like the sort of like comeback of it in a time when things become more scarce. So a big thing that's happened is Fuji's made some of the best like consumer films, some of the best professional films, and they've just cut out so much of it. They've cut out so much of it literally because it's become completely cost prohibitive to get chemicals to actually be able to produce the physical photo film. And it's a super bummer. And when shit like that happens, just causes everything else about film to just go nuts in terms of prices too. How much are they now? So I'll say this, 15, 20. I found, it depends on where you look. I think B&H has some good prices. With that said, I have an open offer, especially to those of you three folks who are in here right now. If you guys are interested, reach out to me on Discord. I actually did buy like a bunch of black and white disposables. And if you guys are interested, I can send them off to you, take some shots, and then send it back. And I can do the developing and the scanning if you guys are interested in it. Yeah, I wanted to go reach out to some other streamers so it could kind of just be like a big like streamer brotherhood sort of thing, where it's like, hey, if some streamers want to be able to you know, take some photos and then like kind of like be able to sort of share this content with, you know, my viewership and their viewership. But at the same token, it's like, I don't know how many I'll reach out to. I literally just ordered like 10 of them. And for that matter, what I was mentioning earlier, one of the packages that I just opened earlier on the stream is an actual label printer. So like I have better means by which to send shit. Lala, wait, send it now so I can take pics of the road trip to you and I'll hand it to you in person. Oh, that'd be cool. Let me figure that out. B&H literally just reopened their store yesterday, and I just bought shit from them yesterday. So we'll see when it comes here, and then once it comes here, like I'll try to figure out how to send it to you. Interesting to always watch. I don't know the first difference between film and digital for taking pics professionally, nor the pros of each, but I'd love a camera in the future. Okie doke. No rush. Anticious, just in short, digital is significantly more convenient, because you can have images instantly. On the other hand, I think that there's a few things. There's a good chunk of people, a lot of whom again are hipsters, who think that there's like sort of a loss in personality of photos because of how digital sensors work in comparison to what like actual photo film capture based on the chemical like constructs or emulsions that exist on the physical film. So a picture that like I shoot here on film, like I'm not sure if you guys may or may not perceive this, but like there's kind of like a different like I don't know how to basically articulate it any better than someone who is more professional than I am, but there's a little bit more of a flavor or a personality to a look like this than maybe a similar shot that I might take with sort of any given digital SLR. And that's just possibly by virtue of how like the software and hardware were created behind how a digital camera works. It's up to you to decide. I think that everything is like in that respect there are objective differences and there are also some subjective differences in terms of how you view it as a human person who can evoke, you know, different senses or different emotions when you look at pictures. I think there's that aspect. From another aspect, it's that with like digital, you're bound by the technical specifications of like megapixels, as well as like how they've put together image quality for specific sensors. Whereas I think that on film, like I'm using a macro lens on a digital camera to produce these scans right now, and like you can macroize like a piece of film however much you want, And the way that the grain comes out on physical photo film, I think really gracefully blows up on large print. So it's like when you're talking like I would personally say that like the idea of using a film camera to shoot something that would end up going on like a billboard or the side of a building would produce an image I think that makes more sense. Although you can still digitally do the same thing and still produce something that looks good, but it's just gonna like by virtue of how it is, it's just gonna be different. That's what I would say. I'll also say this. I love photography. I would also say that there are real, more legitimate professionals than I who may have different ways to weigh in on this. Who may more practically, like from an everyday standpoint, see the actual differences in digital and film. What I can say is that I've used both, and I've used both for different shoots. But these shoots all existed prior to COVID. So I'm like getting more and more removed, or I've gotten more and more removed from doing stuff like at such high volume and high capacity. Literally because the opportunities haven't come as frequently as they used to. And with all that said, like for me, this is like a hobby. Like photography to me is a hobby. I'm trying to, you know, kind of parlay it into something a little bit more by trying to help grow Twitch photography, even if like even in the case that I'm not necessarily a big part of the Twitch photography community, because like I just do so many different, like I have so much different kinds of content. But if I can help do that and, you know, sort of spread it through Twitch, it's like I'd be happy. So it scales differently, in some ways better. I think that it boils down to that, yeah. I think. Let's see if we can pull this down a bit. It's like very bright. Very bright. Sounds really fun to do. I think that like there's a lot of folks, including myself, where it's like there's an appreciation of the sort of analog aspect, or there's like an artistry almost behind being there for the physical part of the process. And I think that that's where kind of a lot of people have a lot of fun with it. Now, with that said, I develop my film, I scan my film, but I don't do prints. I haven't put myself in a position to dive into the world of doing like actual like prints. I don't even like really know the lingo. I mean, it's just that like I think when you think of printing, it's like, you know, send it to a machine and just have like a digital printer print it out. Traditional prints, I don't have a whole lot of experience. What I do know is that it's incredibly complicated, and for that matter, I think like even more unsafe due to the chemicals used. So I'm not super familiar with doing printing. I'd love to learn, but I can also imagine that's a whole investment in time and energy as well. Is it kind of like how vinyl or records sound since it's all analog? I guess so, yeah. I would say that like there's a pretty apt comparison to the appreciation among or the renewed appreciation of sort of analog sound by virtue of like I guess vinyl records to the renewed appreciation of photo film. I think there's similarities there for sure. So I've been stuck on this for a while. I'm not even sure if this thing might have frozen again. It looks like we're still good. 51. Let's see, as shot. Okay, I think this one is actually, we haven't done this shot yet. Or it was this one. I kind of want to sync these and see how they do. Looks a little bit better. Grainy, old school, but OG and vintage sounding. I picked up a cassette deck and turntable a couple days ago. Definitely not convenient, but it's fun. Hey, I think I actually saw that on your Instagram story. The whole setup you got, the turntable on top of the tape deck shelf. That's super sick. I have a turntable. I've been meaning to get a tape deck, but I just haven't gotten around to it. I remember going after original Blu-ray remastered episodes of DBZ because they were being sourced from the original film. Grainy, but it looked brilliant. Whoa. That's crazy. I'd love to be able to see that. Love to be able to see that. That's another thing too. Seinfeld. Seinfeld was actually shot on 35mm film, which is why like it's in terms of like picture quality, it has aged so well, because they could blow it up in ways that, like, I guess, what would it be, like 16mm film from the, you know, that sort of 80s 90s ish era, would have otherwise been sort of recaptured or renewed. But damn, that's super sick. I'd love to get back into Dragon Ball. I was really into Dragon Ball over 20 years ago as a small child. That project I don't think ever really got fulfilled in the way it was supposed to, but that full series is available in its entirety on Amazon. Okay, right on. Alright, 51. Let's proceed here. Have you shot digitally at the time? Then you're stuck with whatever format you shot, right? Yeah. So like I think back to like what's really incredible is if you ever watch sports, like there's the whole docu-series about the Michael Jordan Bulls, where a lot of that footage was actually shot on film and like looks fucking fantastic. And I think it was like a big part of that was the fact that like that docuseries is based around like the end of Michael Jordan's career with the Chicago Bulls, and he knew he wanted to have this footage for later, so then like he went and got like these like videographers to like do all this stuff, probably knowing in advance down the line they wanted to put something together towards, you know, later in life, like Michael Jordan's life. That said, even from around or after that era, you know, like even just a couple years later, you look at like more NBA basketball footage and it doesn't look as good as what Michael Jordan and his team put together, just because you were like stuck with it, like you were stuck with like what level of footage you actually got from that time. So it's like, it's pretty crazy. Like I think about like Jordan's last season was 1998 when he had that whole thing going on, and then just like 2 years later was the start of when the Lakers were winning, you know, the Los Angeles Lakers were winning all the NBA basketball championships. And you go back and look at that quality of footage and it's just like it's not necessarily close, especially when you just like look up highlights on YouTube. Like even some of the best stuff that you can find just won't match because of the actual quality of film that was shot for Michael Jordan's time. It's a whole thing, but it's crazy. And I think about that, and I think about Seinfeld. It's crazy. All right, I never saved this level of exposure, but we might. We'll still do it. 120, Portra 400, 60 f10 100. Oh. Let's do 2. All right, and then we go here. Alrighty. this from the sidebar. Looks a little bit more improved. What's funny is that like this is very fingerprinty. I shot this on medium format, which is a format that's even larger than 35mm film. So like it can essentially like capture like even, like just to put it as simply as I can, it can capture even more detail for the same, like for example, like size or focal length that you're using. So it's like, this is photo film and it's captured all my sweaty fingerprints. We got some motion blur here. It's like, what is this? I was shooting at 1/15th of a second. It's just like, what chance did I have there? There's a big problem, I think, shooting a 400 ISO film is that like, so with film, the speed rating, or like the rating on it, is like essentially a locked ISO. So if this is like 400 film, it's like equates to 400 ISO on a digital camera. And so since you get like locked in that manner, like you'll have to shoot like very open, and then your shutter speeds just like get really slow, and then you just end up getting a ton of motion blur. So here, I think by this point, I was starting to try to at least get a little bit more stability. Here's just like a little small tripod rig that I was like leaning against. I feel like even here you can start to just see. I mean, it's like, I guess I could correct it, but all right, we got one last shot on this roll. It's just like a little flipped view. Ooh, alignment got a little wild here. It's like a little crooked now, but it's all good. Alrighty. Thus, whoa. Andy, is that you?
No.
Holy shit, you freaked me out.
Why?
Cause so I'm on streamer mode, which means like I don't hear like the Discord when someone enters the Discord chat.
Ew.
But yeah, I'm streaming right now, just like towards the end of it. Just finished scanning all this film. Glad
That's
you could
cool.
make it. What you been up to, dude?
Designing stuff?
Ah, the
On a roll.
anime brand.
Yeah. In development. I'm gonna present it to my I don't even want to talk about it.
All right, well, I'll let
Secret.
everyone on stream know. Andy's working on putting together a new anime brand.
Yes. You'll see Chris wearing some shirts in the near future.
Hell yeah. Love free t-shirts. Unless you need me to pay for it.
I'm gonna charge you extra.
Alrighty. So. Normally, I end my stream around this time. But since we went so fast, I'm gonna be going over some extra stuff. 4 rolls. I feel like we went through those 4 rolls real fast. Fantastic. gonna just throw this here. Alrighty. So I am looking for an HDMI cable. I guess it would be a mini HDMI. Give me a second, everybody. Ooh. Where would it be? Actually, you know what? I gotta clean all this up, but I'm excited for you guys to sort of see the post of all of this. Alex, or sorry, Andy, did you see all the stuff I opened?
Oh no.
Nice. You redeemed 5 packages for me to open and saw none of them. Wonderful.
You're taking too long to open them.
Bruh.
What did you open?
I'll revisit some of them. There was a lot of keyboard stuff. So I had some custom switches, some stock switches, some tools. I got a bunch of literally just like they're just screws. What else I bought? Oh, I bought a label printer. So now I can ship stuff like way more easily than before.
Oh, a Rolo?
Yep. Wait, do you have a Rolo?
At work.
Nice.
How often are you shipping things where that's necessary?
Oh, no, none. That's the thing. I've been literally like trying not to ship things because I don't have like a label printer. But it's like now I just have like so many opportunities to. What's up?
Can't you just print labels on paper?
I don't have a printer. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, I've been trying. Yeah, it's been tough, man. Not having a printer. Like, it's also nice not having a printer, because then you don't have to think about having a printer.
Yeah, printer ink sucks too.
Yeah, printers are for chumps. I say as I just got a printer. What am I doing? Shit. Give me a second, everybody. It's more of this that goes into resetting up more than meets the eye. Got this receipt printer I got from Adafruit. I've always wanted to make some program that lets me print shipping labels on it. Oh, right on. I can't wait to use this label printer to like print shit that's not labels. Like, I want to print sheet music on it. Alright, this whole thing I've just done was kind of... Why did I do it this way? But okay, anyways. My God. My Lord. Alright. For anyone curious here, I'm gonna pull back with this thing. my gosh. Okay. This guy right here is... That was a nickel. This guy right here is the copy stand that I use for scanning film. I used to also use this as my overhead camera rig, which is super fantastic because it keeps the camera like super still. There's like no wobble. But there was a huge problem with it in that like it's like super raised and elevated over like the surface, like the actual desk. It's got these super sharp corners. It was just like uncomfortable to use. So what we're now doing is I'm putting this back on the other rig arm. So that we can try our best to now go over some of the post stuff as well as going back over what we were doing earlier on stream. Alrighty, let's check this out. Okay. You can see how much dirt there is on my white desk. I usually have a desk mat over it. Alright. Hopefully y'all can see this. Why is this? The coloring is like... My hand looks dead in comparison to my face cam. Better, worse? I have no idea what this setting is here. And there's also just like not enough light. How should we get... Well, actually, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna get a bunch of light into this anyways. Alright, here we go. A bunch of light. Whoa, that ain't good. Did I just pull the wrong guy? Ooh. Ooh, that's bright. Hand looks about the same that I'm feeling during the day, dead but alive. Okay, so here we are now. Is this like auto exposing in some capacity? No, I guess not. Okay. We do a couple things. We cut these up into sleeves, and you guys can look at like the actual film now. Yeah. It's the one. So, what I normally do is like I take these, they're like little binder sleeves for film. Then we cut these up so you could just store these away in a binder. This glove is just about completely dead. Thumb is completely exposed. All right. So what I do is I take this stream is choppy? Oh, snaps. Wonder why that is. Give me a second here. Appreciate that little tidbit. Good now, interesting. Okay, alright. That was weird. Alright. So, for 120 film, you get about four in a row. So I just cut these into 4s. The worst thing you could do is miscount. Luckily, I did not do that today. And usually, the very start of the roll, I always start from the end of the roll, but the very start of the roll, or the very end of the roll is where I start cutting, because you always want the orders to be just right. So then I just sleeve this. So I can show the differences here, because they might not have been more or as directly apparent during the actual scanning. What you can see is this is 120 film, which is incredibly large, especially in comparison to what I've been shooting for so many years. By comparison, this is 35mm film. So it's just like, it's a lot smaller and it's oriented kind of differently. The long edge goes this way through the film rather than the long edge here for this like 645 120 format to sort of be. So always start at the ends. What I can do here is I can cut literally anywhere. It doesn't really matter that much. Because I can just cut right here. Taking notes, mental notes. Alright, we'll call this, we could call this 1 right here, even though there's nothing on there. Let's just call this 1. I think it's just going to make it easier for us. Maybe. I'll just cut. I'll cut even further. So I just count 6. You can fit 6 in one of these sleeves. So sometimes it's a little harder to find where it goes just because there might not be any delimiter between shots. And if you don't expose super well, like this right here, when you invert it, is a black shot. And the thing is, if you have many black shots in a row, then you're just not going to see, or like very dark shots in a row, you're not going to see where each frame individually is. So it kind of gets a little hard to know exactly where to cut. But you just try your best. So we'll go with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So again, hoping that I'm not wrong here. This 6 should fit on the very end of the sleeve, or I guess we'd go like probably right here. I think I cut it a little long. That's probably because the very end of this just has a bunch of extra space. It's like that can be trimmed off a bit more if we wanted. That should just be a little bit better. Now, what I will say is I don't typically use this light pad for like doing this. I use a different light pad. I'm just using this because it was already out. This is super blinding. 4, 5, 6. So it's just very hard to look at right now. I'm not gonna lie. Also, some of these spaces just hard to really find for certain. But I think we're getting them. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, and this is why it's always a good idea to start at the end. You want to make sure that, like, when going in reverse order, you have enough space to fit the actual sleeve. All right. Dropping one. May become a little tiny bit more apparent after I get these 5 in. This one is very likely number 4. So what happens when natural oils get on the film? I mean, I guess a number of things could happen. It could just be damaged over time. Or become damaged over time in some certain ways. But other than that, I mean, like, if you're talking like very short term, shit, did I do this out of order? I did. This one should be the 5th one. In the very short term, it's like, well, if you try to scan them or just like look through them, I mean, you'll see splotches that are just not pleasant to look at. That's kind of one thing that happens. What about essential oils? I don't know. I've never tried it. Should I try it? All right. So this was 27 exposures. Typically, rolls of film are 24 or 36. Like, those are kind of like the most common numbers. And so what ends up happening is this is 7 rows of 6 frames each, which gets you should get you 42, right? The thing is, sometimes when you shoot a roll, like, you will get over 36 on a 36 roll. Like, you'll get 37 in some cases, 38, 39, depending on what camera you use and just how the roll was put together and how you reeled it on, or how you loaded it in. So if you start from the top and just start putting all these together, then like you might get to a point here where like it kind of ends up looking a little bit fucked towards the end in terms of trying to fit a whole roll into one sleeve. Just depends on how you look at it. So I like to go from the end, the bottom. Now this one was a 24, it didn't matter. Had a lot of space here, a lot of room to breathe. But it's all good. Okay. So I think that one was the disposable. All right, this one is the 36 Portrait 800. It's 35mm film. So like before, we cut off a little bit of the end. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's just make this cut here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so this light is really good for a couple reasons. Or like having a light pad for this, it's just like I'm trying to cut it and just make sure I'm at the right place for where the separation of the frames are. Allows me to kind of see what's going on and see through the film, because if like I didn't have this light right now, then I wouldn't know what I'm even looking at. Now, one question some may have is like, why don't I cut this beforehand? The tool I use to scan much prefers that you scan with the rolls uncut. So I just went through my whole scanning process, and my hope is that I won't have to like, I want to store it now. The hope is that I won't have to rescan them. I may, but I won't. I hopefully won't have to. Just because it's inconvenient when the actual strips are shorter. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm trying to make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. So I think this is actually an exact reason why I go backwards. There's a lot more loaded up front, or like a lot more that doesn't actually get touched or seen because of like when you start loading the roll in. So I like to leave that long extra piece at the very, very beginning. And if you don't, then you'll have like a really, really short end with like one frame. And that's always like a huge bummer. I have a lot of negative film for all the family photos my parents took while I was growing up. This is inspiring me to scan them all. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, if you want, like as another thing, I'll scan your film too. If you're interested in anything like that, where it's like, hey, the whole thing is already shot. In fact, it's already developed. If you want it scanned, like I'm down for that too. I've always wanted to digitize all those photos. This would be more fun than taking pics of all the photos themselves. Yeah. It's super fun. I think that what's cool is going back, like with film, it will inspire those kinds of like feelings of just like, oh man, that's what was on it. Oh man, that's what it looked like. Oh man, that's what you can get out of this. Every time I look at a new roll for the first time, it's kind of like, hey, this is the first time I'm seeing these pictures like in actuality. This is the second time I've seen what's on them, but yeah, it's cool. I'll see, I might have some I can send over. Okay, right on. That'd be cool. That'd be super cool. Alright, not gonna lie, I'm like getting mad blind right now. This is a very, very bright light. What's gonna happen is I'm gonna turn this light off and then I'm gonna be like, holy shit, everything looks crazy. Alright, this one's interesting because there's no actual like stubbed leftover frames here, but I'll still throw them into the sleeve just cause. Like, why not? I got extra space, that's what it's there for. I think that there's a W King, love to see someone doing film on Twitch. Hey, welcome. And thanks for that. I think I got that offline follow from you. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate that. I love it, man. I wish that it was bigger, and like I'm trying to make my mission to like try to get it to become bigger. So W King, while you're here, I do have this. I'll hit this command here just so that everyone can see. I actually have a service here where I can develop and scan your film. And from my understanding, I think I'm offering an extremely competitive price. So if you're at all interested, check out that link. All right. Take a look for anybody who hasn't seen it before. This is 35mm film. This is 120 film. So pretty sizable difference in terms of just sheer like size of the film. It's just way bigger. It might be a problem as I'm in the UK, but if I was stateside, I would definitely take you up on it. Right on, right on. Hey, I mean, just so you know, um, depending on prices locally to you, sending it over, here for processing might actually possibly still be more cost effective if you've got any film. The reason I say that is because I'll just flat out say it. 35 I'll start at $2 a roll. And I have heard recently that like your pharmacies and like shops are doing them for like 25 to 30. I don't know, like that's what I've heard here in the States. I haven't taken mine anywhere, but if the prices are like that, you know, even internationally, it may still possibly behoove you to send these over, provided that you might not want them returned. Just so you know. Alrighty. So what's a little weird here is I get this feeling. Ah, there we go. There we go. That's what we wanted. I was wondering why everything looks so crazy. All right, there we go. I was wondering why I did that whole thing with like these. I cut up all this film and I'm realizing like shit, like the overhead camera was like all, the settings were all fucked. Okay. Shipping would be a bitch on both our ends. I did that my entire final year of university on film. Oh, you take the film out of the canister and ship it flat and I mean, if you have already developed film that you want me to scan, that actually might be a valid solution, but undeveloped film, I'm like, by the way, that emote is amazing. All right, so as promised, I wanted to be able to show just a couple things here. Now that I do have the overhead set up through HDMI instead of tethered. All right, so I got some of these Zycos in the mail. Zyco switches. W King, again, thank you for being here. I know that you came in here with the premise of it being photo film. We just finished a bunch of scans of a lot of, like half of which were keyboard photos. Maybe, I'm not sure if you're familiar, but I try to do every other Thursday I do keyboard builds, and then the alternate Thursdays I do photography related streams. Here it's a Monday night, I guess Tuesday now, in the States. So it's like I just wanted to get this scanning stream in because I got the developing stream in on Thursday. Super interesting custom. Oh, right on. Okay, so that's what you're here for. Okay, right on. So I got these Zyco switches off of RMM. Now, let's backtrack. There's a few things I want to say. First of all, I'm not a fan of Franken switch names. In fact, for the most part, I'm not really even a big fan of non-Franken switch names. Like, I think that a lot of things that get named, especially when it comes to switches, the naming conventions are just atrocious. In my personal opinion. What are these? So the Franken switch name is Zyko. It is a it's essentially, it's supposed to be a holy panda, but with the bottom housing replaced by a Zelio bottom housing. So it's a halo stem to go along with a panda top. Sorry, I realized I'm completely out of focus. Halo stem, panda top, and Zelio bottom. I'm gonna be honest, I don't even know what spring is in here. Yeah. Now, what I wanted to show was the gentleman I got it from. I appreciate that I was able to get this. I've never tried like any panda. Does it feel like popping bubble wrap? I guess kind of, yeah. So that's the first comment I want to make. My first comment is, I don't like naming. Second of all, I don't want to really like bash the guy for selling me these, but what I will say is like, there's a lot of stuff going on the actual like legs. Like a lot of switches still have like solder on them. A lot of switches, or some switches, I think I've even seen like pulled out pads. Now, I don't care. Like personally, like I can fix these. Like that's perfectly fine. I can fix them. I'm worried about the guy. Like I'm worried about like, man, did he like have to ruin his boards to like desolder these? Just like I'm worried for him. So, third of all, I knew this going into it. But sorry. I knew this going into it, but I actually have just found out like I do not like long pull switches, like long pull custom modded switches. I think that short travel is not for me. But I realize that that's what's happening here just by virtue of the kale stem, like the halo stem. I just figure I gotta try it. I gotta try this long pull tactiles and see if it differs much from linears. Has me curious. And so here we are. Spent a whole bunch on this, but still actually cheaper than the sum of the parts, because you end up getting like all the halos, you end up getting all the pandas, you end up getting all of the Zelios, and it's gonna cost more than this. Now, if you did that, you'd end up with a bunch of extra parts, but I wouldn't know what I would do with all those extra parts. So me getting this for the less than the sum of the parts is actually like, I think it benefits me. W King, gotta go to work, man. Your stream is super chill. Definitely come back. Hey, appreciate you being here. And thanks for coming by. Hope you have a good day at work, man. All right. So many little things about these switches. But at the end of the day, they're in my possession, and I don't see anything immediately wrong with them. What I'm just doing right now is just counting them up, just to make sure that like none got lost in translation, or the guy just didn't totally fleece me. We'll see. Shit, this is crazy. This one looked real bad. I think this one's like unusable. Like one leaf is missing. And then like it totally like just has like a pad ripped off. Luckily, what I will say is like I do have just extra Zelio and Telio bottoms. So I could replace it. I could replace what's in here, but this one's got some issues, I will say. Yeah, this one has a second click, for that matter. I think there's just something wrong with the leaf or with the housing or something. Oh shit. Hey, Tim. Welcome, guys. Oh my god. We got a big old raid for my good man, Mr. Les. Mr. Timkey. Oh my goodness. Okay, I realize like I'm kind of off screen. There's some paper towels there. Guys, welcome aboard. Oh my goodness, a whole lot of folks in here. Guys, Mendax, Retro, Temptation. Oh my goodness, Ripside. Guys, welcome. Sea Salt Bacon, welcome to the stream. Instigator, thank you for the follow. We spent most of this stream scanning some photo film. And a lot of the photo film was actually like keyboards. Like this was last Thursday, I took some photos of some keyboards on stream, and then I developed it on stream. I developed that photo film. Today, like just given that they've just been hanging from my bathroom door rig for the last like 3-4 days, decided to scan it on this stream, and a lot of them were keyboard shots. Insanity, welcome back. Got flashback. James dealing with Tim. Tim, I hope you've been doing well, man. It's been a little minute, but hope your stream went well. I'm guessing. I think I saw, like, I popped into your stream a little bit before my own, before I went live, and I saw that you were working on that that keyboard with all the keycaps in the wrong places. Was that what you were working on? At least I saw that. I saw that for a little bit. The scuffed K2. Kosuke Chia. Kosuke, I'm hoping I'm saying that right. Welcome to the stream. Lube in the switches. Right on. Let's see. Oh, while we're listening or just sort of catching up here, if anybody wants to sort of take a look, Lala, Moon Operator, we had this little game here. The game was, can you figure out what's wrong with this keyboard? So let's see. All right. If anybody wants to not listen to the things that I have to say or ask, feel free to take a look at this keyboard, see what you can find out what's wrong with it. In any case, guys, a few things here. Anthixis, you know what's wrong? Okay. Just wanted to catch up, everybody. I'm Chris. Welcome to the stream. If anybody's here coming from Tim's stream, I appreciate you. I appreciate you being at Tim's stream because I appreciate you now coming here, and shouts out to Tim for that big old raid. So there's exactly one thing. There's exactly, in my opinion, one thing wrong with this keyboard. Now you tell me if you can see it. If you guys, all right, yeah, Gok got it. Yeah, Gok got it right away. I pulled out this board for this shoot on Thursday because I kind of wanted to just do a film development stream. And I hadn't realized that when I built this keyboard, what was it, like almost like a week and a half ago, that we mounted the C and the V in the wrong places. One thing, yeah, that's exactly one thing. Exactly one thing. I don't know what else you see that's wrong with it. There's exactly one thing wrong with it. I mean, there's also the fact that like you end up having like some missing keys because you anticipate the left shift being shorter and the enter key being 1 unit on row 3. So you're missing a switch. So that's the A with the little umlaut, which I think it's a part of this German quartz layout. It does have nixies. What I will also say is I have one big problem with the keyboard, and it's the switches. I have learned by mounting these switches on here that I do not like the long pole Franken switch mod. Not a fan. With that said, I bought some Zyko switches off of RMM, which I also recognize are a long pole mod, like a Franken switch mod. But I just figure, okay, it's tactile, I gotta try it. It's close, right? Yeah. So we opened this a little bit earlier on the stream. I just pulled these out so I can kind of show a few things that are problematic. So long poles 1. 2 is the fact that I don't like the name. I don't like the name of most switch names or Franken switch names, but even stock switch names. But the third problem is the desolder job here wasn't, I would say, was not particularly strong. So you got this situation going on. You could tell, like, I'm not harping on him for not having a gun, but I've said this a couple times on stream already before everybody came in here. I worry about the state of his keyboard, knowing that, like, this is how these came in desoldered. Even worse is that there's some of these bottoms that are just like kind of beyond recognition. I mean, this is probably the worst one I saw. It's missing one leg entirely, and the other remaining leg is has an entire like pad lifted off of whatever PCB he was on. So it's like this bottom is unusable. I'm imagining I can take the rest of the stuff that's in this quote-unquote Zyko and then put it in another spare Zelio or Telio housing. But this one came in a little. This one's pretty crazy. Take a look at this. There's this like click bump at the end. One of the crazier things I've seen. I don't know if y'all can see that. I don't think this stem's supposed to be like this. All right. So I just wanted to count these. We got 15, 30. So this would be 60, 68. 68, just like he mentioned. He did list 68. I just wanted to make sure that the count was right. But I guess, like, in the meantime, sorry about that. In the meantime, I could maybe try to cherry pick which ones are good and which ones might be usable and which ones are bad. All right, so this is the good pile. This is the, I mean, this is probably bad. It's like, look at this. Look at this crazy stuff. Like that, like plastic pin is like kind of crazy scuffed. So I can just separate it by good or not good. And there's also maybe a pile of like could be good but need to clean off the solder. Moon operator, gotta go to sleep now. Fun catching stream. Hey, I appreciate you being here. Always, man. Appreciate it. Also wanted to mention, as I was already discussing, you know, photo film, I did want to mention if there's anybody out there who is actually into photo film. Like I said, I do stream about every other week for it, but I also do provide a service to develop and scan your film on stream. So if anybody's interested in that, I offer highly competitive rates, possibly up to 10x cheaper than some other like actual shops. And feel free to check out my work. I mean, I have a couple of VODs where you could take a look at the film I've shot, the film I've developed. You can take a look at my Instagram as well. It's all up there. So if you or anybody you know is interested in getting film developed, scanned for cheap, all while seeing it live on Twitch, check it out. All right, some of these still, for the most part, pretty good. Just gotta get some clean. I think I'm done with getting switches for now. The only switches I don't think I have are alpaca V2s for a pink board. I have had this project in my head for a long while. It's like a project I'm planning that requires me to get a lot of switches, and some of which I think are not going to be quite so easy to find, unfortunately, or not so easy to find for super cheap, at least. Project. That's a bad. That's a clean. 3 piles. One is good but needs to be clean. One is bad, and then one of the final one's just good. Project. Yeah. I'll throw this out there. I would like to have some Pinocchio switches, I guess, but I don't see any place where they're readily available. There's a few others. I think Mauves might be still available from an EU vendor. Then it's like, you know, dealing with all that, trying to eat that price. This one, I don't know if this one feels good. Like, it looks good, but I don't know that it feels good. I'm gonna put it in the bad pile for now. See if we can make anything of it. That's a bad. That's a bad. I'm gonna eventually say that's a bad. There's a bunch of these, like the plastic legs are scuffed in one way or another. Oh man, there's a whole lot of these now. I'm hitting like, oh my goodness. These shits seen better days for sure. Good. This one needs a little cleaning. Bad. I don't mind these so much. I mean, there's a lot of badness here, but I don't think so much so that it's detrimental. At least I hope not. I will find out. It's cleaning. We'll go with bad. Cleaning. Bad. Man, I really hope this guy's keyboard was okay. Wherever you pull these from. Cleaning. Ooh, good. A rare good. And they're just gonna switch the phone? Right on. Right on. Hope everybody's doing well. This one needs cleaning. Cleaning. Bad. Cleaning. Oh, shit. I think I just dropped a good in here. Actually, that might be bad. This one looks good. We'll go safe, call that bad. Go safe, call it bad, call it bad. There's a bunch of like kind of bullshit on some of these legs. It's good. It's crazy when you see the rare goods. Bad. And like I'm thinking that there's a chance that some of these like these plastic legs that have some dirt on them might actually still be functional, but like remains to be seen. All right. So, what does this leave us with? We got 26 good. 16 to be cleaned. That's 52, so that would be about 16 more that are bad. I think I have enough housings for this. Wait, did I miscount that? $26, 42. Sorry. 26. Shit. I can't even do math right now. Wow, so 26 good, 26 bad, and then 26 or 16 that just need to be cleaned. All right, fortunately, I think I do have like 26 zeal bottoms that I can go and harvest from. I believe. I hope. We'll find out. All right. Next things to show. Oh, this might have just been the last thing. One of the things I ended up opening up earlier on stream. I got this new AIO3 switch opening tool. I already have a gray one, I believe, but I left that at Ada's. Ada, for those of you who don't know, I mentioned earlier, Ada has said that she wants to do all of my switches. I'm like, okay, well, I guess I need another switch opener then. So I leave some tools at her place. So I gotta get some new tools for here. Got the rose gold. Those blue thingies look like kongis. What is a kongi? A popular Korean children's game that is traditionally played using 5 or more small grape-sized pebbles. Sick. Well, that's what it is. That's what I bought. I bought 68 of them. 68 kongis. All right. I think that kind of might be it. Well, I could quickly go over for anybody who still might be lurking some of these photos that I scanned earlier, so we could just kind of choose the POG. Choose the POG photo. My question is, Gok saw pretty fast the V and the C switch, and I think probably a few others may have seen it rather quickly because there was a larger sample size of folks in here compared to earlier. My question was, see, I like this photo. I like a few of these other photos as well. My question is, if I post this, you know, on other platforms, you think people are gonna be like, man, this guy fucking switched the V and the C key? Or do you think it's like there's too much attention on so much other bullshit that they'll not see it? I don't know. Or maybe I can like try to highlight it as, hey, guess what's wrong with this photo? I think most people would think you switched the Z and the Y first. See, that's what I was thinking, right? Like I was thinking that like maybe because of like, you know, this specific ISO layout or this quartz layout, that people won't think about that quickly. Or maybe they'll think, okay, there's so many things wrong with this that they'll just be like, oh, V in the C, maybe that's just part of it. Or maybe they'll think, does like a quartz layout have the V and the C switched? Maybe that's what they'll think, right? I don't know. There's also this fact here that like this pipe backslash key is not actually part of the original dice subset and is instead part of GMK missing keys. And I don't think you can wholly tell that it's like kind of like a different color. I don't know. We could always go with a different shot to share. This here possibly one of the nicer shots of the night. Seeing the back of the gaff, but you don't really see much keyboard. So in 2, so you see the Telio right there. Let's see, I feel like it's a little funky looking. Let's see if I can turn on GPU acceleration back on. Was truly in focus. Oh, Insanity 8, thank you for being here. Always appreciate it. This one's cool too, the backing here. Of course, right on. Hey, I hope you have a good night, man. Just be. Well, you could see it less. Thing is, like, I was also trying to convince myself, hey, maybe it's just worthwhile to retake these Viper photos, because I think some of the big value that comes out of it is like all the goofy lighting. I do like this one. This one's pretty chill. Dusty ass gaff photos. There was a point where I had to pull out the data vac to blow it out. I literally just replaced the key. Fortunately, the gaff didn't have any such issues. No gaffs, if you will. Like we can redo some of these colors here. Ooh, I don't know how I feel about this. Let's go to linear, and let's go to I feel like this isn't working as hot as it was earlier. This thing kind of feels like it gave up. Warm, cool, auto neutral. Area selected too bright. This thing is bugging out. Let's try it again. Convert these negatives, which is just this one. We have a couple of these shots with the teleo exposed. Damn. This is a tough one. I think what might be more worthwhile is just trying our best here to be able to adjust the temperature and tint. Manually. So I think the tint is pretty good. I think there are just some adjustments to make up here. Those whites get really muted. Turn the brightness down. That might actually help a little bit more. I like that. I like that a bit better. But we got the H in focus. I think that's actually a big problem with this one. Focus here is better. This was cool because I think I so seldom use my macro lens on this film camera. I think the difference between this one and that one was trying to get the name in focus versus the tip of the stem, which that might have been the key. But the colors, I think the colors might need some extra work. Close-up of the gaff, close-up of this Viper. Look at this. See the V and the C switched up in the most obvious way, that close. I don't know. I'm not sure which shots I like best. I think there's some with the back of the Viper that I really like. These two the same? Oh yeah, I shot the scan twice. Okay. Here was a whole roll we were looking at earlier. I really liked this one. This one was one of my favorite shots from this roll in particular. So I kind of want to call this one like the non-keyboard shot Pog, I think, out of all of them. I think. There's a few others, but this one was one that really stood out to me. It's Groceries. There was another one prior to that, which we shot with a disposable. There was one from Ada that I think exposed, there are a couple of these exposed really nicely. It's like surprised to hear that, like, you could get this out of a disposable lens, like kind of like the cheapest you can go. Still end up looking like this. Is fantastic. That's chill. As for keyboards, I gotta figure it out myself. That's like an eternal thing. I think I do quite like this one, if not the one that I had shown from earlier. So we'll choose one of them. Ooh, that's crazy. My machine's chopping up a little bit. All right, I think that about does it for me here. Guys, thank you so much. I'm gonna take a look here, see who's online, see who we can sort of hit up here. I'm wondering, should I raid a big streamer? I'm kind of thinking of doing it. I see Aries. Aries is online. Alright guys, I'm gonna take off. I appreciate everybody being here tonight. Got some good progress and good productivity out of this stream, being able to check out all this stuff and finish off all these scans. Like I mentioned earlier, do keyboard streams every other Thursday, and on the alternate Thursdays I do these photo film streams. So if anybody's interested in this type of content, feel free to drop by. I also play some Splatoon on Tuesdays, which I'm going to be doing, tomorrow, as per my sort of weekly tradition. It's Nintendo's shooter for anybody uninitiated. Play with a team here based in California. So if anybody's interested in coming by and getting updates, or feeling free to drop by for any discussions, keyboards, photography, among many of the other things that I stream, hop onto the Discord. That way you could get some more up-to-date notifications and exclusive content. Also, again, as I mentioned earlier, anybody's interested in photo film stuff, I do provide a service for it, so check out that link if you or anybody you know is interested. And then finally, bits and subs I send to the San Francisco Marin Food Bank. So if anybody is interested in helping support the stream, you should know that you're actually helping support the community that I live in. Much appreciated. But with all that said, if you guys want to donate to them, I got a page up here if you want to directly send your donations there. You could, Twitch doesn't take the cut. You can write it off on your taxes, get more bang for your buck, all that. Feel free to check that out as well. So, all right. Until next time, guys, thank you. Tomorrow I got some Splatoon going on. Thursday I'll be doing a build, a keyboard build. But I'll also keep everybody posted on everything else that I stream. So until the next time I see you guys, good night from San Francisco. I'm gonna be rating a musician I quite like, Aries. So, good night, guys. Thank you.